What's up guys, DT Ninja here to bring you my latest Boruto review slash discussion from episode 13, Born from Revenge. Yo, this episode was epic. Yo, it was awesome. It was crazy. I loved it. Yo, I cannot wait to see what happens next. But yo, I want to discuss some of the things I noticed, some of the things I liked about this episode. Also, I want to discuss more on Sumire, the character. I never discussed about her, so I mean, a little bit, but a little bit more in depth. And I also want to discuss a little bit more about the new okay, and the preview for next week. So, okay, let's get to what I enjoyed, what I noticed in this chapter. So, what I enjoyed. Okay, about this episode, Kakashi returned. Yo, Kakashi returned. Not just he returned. He made everyone, that has been on this case, he basically came in with the culprit. He's like, I was going on vacation, but I decided, to look in, some old Foundation, files, maybe in a somewhere stored away, and he found information that solved the case. I mean, this is crazy. We have two geniuses. We have Kakashi and Sai, and both of them figured it out. They both figured it out just by looking, in old Foundation either places or files, but either way both of them found it. Obviously Sai found the picture and Kakashi found the record of her father, so they are both former members of the Anbu, so it makes sense that they would be able to uncover this mystery. But it's awesome how both of them did. We have two geniuses figuring it out. I really enjoy that. Not only that, but they joined each other on the battlefield. That was freaking epic. Yo, Sai enters and I know you're a friend of Inojin, and he just knocks her out. That was awesome. And Kakashi's entrance, yo, he used Shiden, which is the purple lightning. Yo, purple release lightning. That is used in the Kakashi novel, if you guys didn't know. So Shiden is the purple release. That was really awesome to see. Yeah. A lot of things. Sumire's entrance when we saw her put the mask on. Not only that, we saw Gozu Tano on her back, the seal. I talked about that in the last discussion, how it represents reincarnation, obviously, because they're trying to reform the new really interesting stuff. The dynamic between Boruto and Mitsuki, because now we have this connection between them, but now Mitsuki reveals this entire time his mission has been to watch Boruto, observe things that are happening around him, not to stop them, but to observe. That is Orochimaru's plan for him. That is his mission. But suddenly, now that the mystery is unraveled, now his mission changes, not only to observe, but to eliminate. Now his mission is to eliminate the threat. And obviously Boruto does not, not on the same page with that, right? And Mitsuki's, I'm gonna take him out. You don't want to see this. And what was interesting about this, he said, you will regret it. You will regret it. Almost as if he cared about Boruto because he didn't want to, see his classmate being killed. And obviously Mitsuki easily takes her down, but Boruto, is there. Boruto is there. So that was very interesting dynamics. I know you have all three of them, and Boruto obviously is conflicted and not understanding what's going on. Why is she here? Is it really true? And so, yeah, really, really interesting stuff. The next thing I have to say is when the new A is released, because that was really cool. The new A is released from her back after, Sai knocks her out. But, the chakra is released from her back, and it shows it. It's monstrous. It's huge. So now you get this barrier team trying to stop it, Kakashi trying to fight it, but then they figure it out, they can't attack it because it steals chakra, right? The tail of it steals chakra, as we've seen before. It also knows wood style, as it has, Hashirama's DNA, so it's very dangerous. It's very dangerous. Now, another thing that the new A has, and that is time ninjutsu. It has some kind of time ninjutsu, space-time ninjutsu. And when Boruto sees Mitsuki and Sumire trying to, attack each other, he stops them. He stopped. That was probably the most epic scene of the episode. You can see this hesitation in Sumire. She's like, Boruto-kun, And Mitsuki's like, Boruto. Like, they're really like, wow, he's serious about this. And all of a sudden, his eye, awakens, And obviously, we've seen this happen before. It's usually because of an ominous chakra. And what I'm thinking here is that it's either Sumire's chakra that comes out, that the purple chakra, or it's the New Age chakra, because it releases some kind of lightning, and that was really cool to see. And then at the very next moment, we see the New Age, and it spins around and disappears. Like a portal opening almost. Sasuke has the portal he can open? It was kind of like that, but the New Age literally went inside the portal and showed up behind Sumire. And that's when Sumire's like, very well, take my chakra. Really demented look on her face, and that's when she escapes. And obviously Boruto follows her in that, whatever it is. I don't know if it's another dimension or what. But very interesting stuff. So that's, a little recap of the episode. I really enjoyed it. A lot of things to it. One thing I wanted to say is that I saw Mitsuki, and he tried to stop Boruto, right? He puts a clone behind him, and Boruto, cleverly, instead of, knocking out his clone, which wouldn't really help, right? Because the other one is behind him. But he hits his own clone with a force, and it's almost like gentle fist, because when it hits, it goes through the clone, but it doesn't pop, right? It doesn't pop, but it knocks down Mitsuki. I found that very interesting, because maybe he learned that from Hinabi, or even his mother. So we're starting to see a little bit more strategy, a little bit more diversity of techniques. Like I said, lightning style it looked like. Gentle fist, maybe not, Hyuga style completely, but a little bit, So you're starting to see a little bit more techniques from Boruto. Really cool stuff. But yeah, overall, an awesome episode. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, so I'm going to dive deeper into the character Sumire now in our discussion. So Who is Sumire? Because I really never touched on her that much. I wasn't really a big fan of her. Some people were saying she's the Hinata 2.0. Now, I don't have that feeling about her. I really never had that feeling about her. The only thing I knew about her is that she was timid. She had a similar voice to Hinata. But that doesn't necessarily mean she is Hinata, or the new Hinata. She had purple hair, okay? Actually, Sumire literally means violet. Violet. But that's where the similarities end, to be honest. She's a class rep, you know. She talks a lot to others. When you think about Hinata, she was almost, you know, non-existent. I have seen, you know, her being concerned about Boruto, but a lot of people have. But her whole thing about this arc, you know, surrounds her now. So when you really think about it, she's really nothing like Hinata. Okay, next thing, her scene with Mitsuki. Okay, let me put my glasses because I actually wrote some of this stuff out, and her scene with Mitsuki in the last episode is what clued me in that there is some connection to the Nue. Now, obviously, that's kind of obvious with the way they talk to each other, and the Gozu to know, which I, you know, discussed in the last discussion. Now, I wasn't quite sure if she was the culprit, but I had a feeling that her family, her father, was responsible for, you know, this project they're working on, the Gozu to know, and it turns out to be true. It turns out to be true. So, in a way, when I saw her, you know, in this episode putting on the mask and, you know, seeing the seal on her back, I wasn't really like, whoa, this is, you know, out of left field. I didn't think that. But her story behind, you know, her and her father, that is what, you know, gave me a little interest, you know, and I was like, oh, that's interesting, you know, now we get a little bit more of her story. I want to know more. So, really cool stuff. Now, the really cool thing that I liked about this episode, and I want to discuss further, is that there is this connection between Mitsuki, Sumire, and Boruto. Okay, and I talked a little bit about it in my brief thoughts, but this is where it connects back. So this is where, you know, Naruto Next Generations, Boruto, you know, is really pushing, you know, the story, because they're connecting these words from the last episode that connected Mitsuki and Boruto together. Okay, I'm gonna do what my father couldn't do. And that obviously, you know, really opened Mitsuki's eyes. That's what my father meant, you know? And he started thinking Boruto's way, maybe he wants, you know, that something good for me too. But now we get Sumire saying the same thing. I'm going to do what my father couldn't do. But it's in another sense. It's in another context. Now she's talking about getting revenge on the village, destroying everyone, you know, releasing the Nue. This is not the same thing as Mitsuki's father was saying to him. This is not what Boruto was saying. He said he wanted to protect everyone. The way Boruto wants to do it is his way. He wants to do it his way. Not necessarily the same way as his father, but he still wants to protect all of his friends and the people he cares about. So there's kind of this dichotomy between the three, because Boruto kind of connects with Mitsuki, but now Sumire has this different view of the same set of words. So very interesting stuff, and now we get this conflict between the three, and really it's going to be between Boruto, because as we all saw, he followed her wherever her, you know, the Nue went. So very interesting stuff. Okay, next thing. The next scene is where her father, actually the next scene I want to talk about is when her father first puts the seal on her. We get this dark scene. There's like red background. It's a really serious face of her father, and you see like the intensity. He's talking to her. Get revenge for me. The foundation. Will rise up, and we need to destroy the village. This is revenge for the village. This is my will. So really intense scene. But I feel that maybe, he's obviously forcing it on his daughter. He's forcing the seal on his daughter. And maybe there's something that she truly didn't understand, that her father, was leaving behind for her. Now, obviously, later on she realizes it, but at that time I don't think she really understood, that purpose he gave her. So anyways, a really interesting scene, because that reminded me of another scene in Naruto Shippuden, and that is from Utakata's. He is a tailed beast, by the way. Utakata had this filler arc, and you're probably like, oh god, filler. Oh god, filler. Okay, well, here's the thing. In filler, if it has relevance to the story, I don't really look down on filler. So let me take the. This is actually from my Naruto animation chronicle, by the way. We're gonna take a closer look since I can't really show you since it's so big. I'm gonna show you a scan of it. So if you look right here, you can see that's Utakata right there. But if you look right there, you see that redness there? That's what I'm talking about. Like that red aura around, and it's kind of a dark room. That I don't know if you can see that or not, but yeah, you can see his master's right there, and he's trying to pull out the tailed beast. So Utakata is a Jinchuriki. Misunderstanding by Utakata and his master. He thinks he's trying to kill him, but he doesn't realize he's a Jinchuriki. I guess he doesn't realize there's a beast inside of him. Kind of like Naruto, right? He didn't realize it until, eventually, oh, there's this beast inside of me. So we get this dynamic, and that kind of reminded me of that scene because, there's this dark room, and, it looked like his master was trying to kill him, but actually he's trying to save him. Okay, the next scene is her, and I feel that her purpose at the academy was to get close to her classmates, but becoming friends was not part of the plan. I don't think becoming these, making these bonds with her friends, caring for them, worrying about them, this was not in her description for the mission. I don't think that was it. I think what she was trying to do is get close enough to steal their chakra, get their trust, and then betray them all. That was the idea. Because the foundation apparently was betrayed by the village, so this is her, way of getting revenge for that. So that was my idea, my thinking on it. And maybe once she saw Boruto, and how he acted, because remember, and Chocho and Sarada stated that I like the Hokage, I respect the Hokage, and even Sumire said this, right? But deep down she hated the Hokage. She hated the Hokage itself, not necessarily Naruto, because she wanted to get revenge for the village. But when she saw Boruto, we see this person that also hates the Hokage. Not necessarily his father, but the symbol of Hokage. So maybe she felt that connection there, and that's where their friendship developed. And I think that maybe she didn't expect to like it so much, like actually caring about her friends, and eventually it became too much, and that's where that part at the hospital was with her and Mitsuki. So very interesting stuff. I really found that interesting. So next part, Sumire and Boruto, because I talked about it a little bit, but I have a little bit more. She seems to have respect for Boruto, like I stated, but now for the village is a tough one to grasp because she doesn't have respect for the village, like I stated. When it comes to them as friends, she's conflicted, I'm sure, but her past might be something that is beyond his understanding. Someone more along the lines of like Sai or Kakashi, someone who's been there in the foundation, someone who understands the Anbu, the darkness, the past of the village. They would understand that kind of logic that her father, had. Boruto, I don't think is going to be able to understand. He had parents. Also, he lived in, a peaceful time. So it's going to be difficult for him to understand, where she's coming from. But maybe there's something left of her former self that he can, grasp onto as hope, and try to bring her back. So that's the hope, at least. Now, the last thing I want to talk about concerning Sumire is a scene with her in the Gozu Tenno, because that seal placed on her summons the Nue. Now, this is not the first time that we've seen a young girl burdened with a seal that will release and destroy or wipe out a village. Okay, so there is another one in Naruto Shippuden. In fact, the one that I showed you with Utakata, that is that arc. That arc. I highly recommend you watch this arc. It is the Utakata arc right before the Pain arc. So Pain captures Utakata at the very end. So that's how they capture, the Six Tails. But anyways, that arc has this young girl, and basically what they do, they basically place a seal on her, and it's this special forbidden jutsu of the Tsuchigumo clan. And this jutsu is capable of wiping out an entire village. It is the same purpose as Gozu Tenno. It's the same exact thing. As Kakashi stated, the purpose of the Nue is to be a detonation, to be an explosive, to destroy the entire village. So it's the same thing. It's very interesting. So this girl's name was Hotaru, and she was a student of Utakata. So this is what I mean by, filler actually having relevance to the actual story, because he, is one of the Jinchuriki, that Naruto meets. Like I said, this is called the Forbidden Life Jutsu. It was a Kenjutsu, a weapon of unimaginable power, capable of wiping out an entire village, as I stated before. Its sole purpose was to use as a massive explosive. Dohatsuten, or Fury, was implanted on the back of a young girl. This was meant to be a sacrifice. Now that's why I mentioned her being Sumire as a sacrifice, because that is kind of the purpose of her, to be a sacrifice for this, massive explosion. In my Naruto book, but I provided a better scan of it. So yeah, very interesting stuff. I want to share that with you guys. If you want to check out the arc, it starts on episode 144 and it goes to episode 151 for Naruto Shippuden. I left the link in the description. I highly recommend you watch it. It's really good. The feels are real. The feels are real because Naruto is able to understand Hotaru, right? Because he's got this, this chakra of the Nine Tails in him, and also Utakata can, understand her as well because he's got the Six Tails. So very interesting arc, and like I said, it kind of reflects back to what we're seeing in Boruto now. And maybe you guys have never seen the filler arc, but I highly recommend it. Like I said, it's a really good arc, and it has relevance to the story. So when I see something like that, I don't really consider it filler. Just because Kishimoto didn't write it doesn't mean it isn't good. So, anyways, okay. Now I want to talk a little bit about the Nue and its features, like the parts of its body. Now, I talked a little bit about it in my last discussion, but I want to talk about it a little bit more. So, it has a monkey's head, okay? The head of a monkey. It's got the mane, and it's specifically white shown in the episode. The thing I wanted to talk about is that maybe, this is a maybe, this could reflect back on the tailed beast Son Goku, because he is the Monkey King. Okay, the Monkey King. He's kind of a monk. He's actually a monk, like a philosophical monkey, and he has a lot of knowledge. Obviously, Naruto and him had a really deep conversation. Now, like I said, the reason why I stated this is because how, the summoning, right? It's summoned, the Nue is summoned, so it kind of reminded me like, a tailed beast being summoned, and I thought it was interesting. So, another thing, it has a raccoon dog's body. So, the body of a raccoon dog. Now, when I thought of raccoon dog, obviously we're talking about Tanaki. That's the name in Japanese. Or Shukaku. Shukaku is the sand spirit that Gaara, was the host of. The One Tails. We saw this in the original Naruto when, obviously, Gamabunta faces off against Shukaku. The next thing, it has a tiger's legs. A tiger's legs. Now, in going back to the tailed beast, there is a similar beast as Bakeneko. Bakeneko, or monster cat. This is the two-tailed beast. The two-tailed beast. This is the black and blue monster cat that Yugito was the host of. Now, I found this interesting because it's the leg, so it's another part of the Nue, and it's within that species. It's a cat, so I thought that was interesting. And then the last part is a tail of a snake. A tail of a snake. Now, a white snake. Okay, now here's where it gets interesting. Because the first thing that came to mind was Orochimaru. When you think of a white snake, Orochimaru's face is white, right? And he's kind of a snake. So that's what came to mind. But then it popped into my mind because in this episode we saw Boruto and him kind of, arguing, and Mitsuki says, my orders have changed, I need to eliminate the threat. And all of a sudden, he says, you've shown me things that I've never, would even consider, and his arm starts pouring out with snakes, and they're also white. So I found that interesting. So very interesting stuff. I wanted to share, my thoughts about that, and give you guys, a little bit of what I was thinking about when I was thinking of the Nue. So, like I said, some tailed beasts and even Orochimaru and Mitsuki. Now, an interesting fact. Now, the creator of the Gozu Tenno, or the person that was behind the project, right? Creation of the Nue, the seal that he put on his daughter. This guy's name is Tanaki Shigaraki. Tanaki Shigaraki. Okay? Now, you guys probably don't know this, but Tanaki in Japanese means raccoon dog. And that is Shukaku. When we think about a raccoon dog in Naruto, it's Shukaku, the One Tails. So I thought that was interesting because the Nue is his creation, in a way, and the body is the main part, right? So Tanaki, Okay, so that's really interesting. I felt that was something I wanted to share with you guys because this is something that goes with Japanese as well. So, like I said, Tanaki means raccoon dog, and obviously the Nue has a raccoon dog's body. So the last thing I want to talk about is the preview. We see Boruto and Sumire. They're in a conflict, and they're basically about to fight. And Sumire mentions to Boruto, "The Sumire you knew never existed to begin with." Now that really hit me hard. I was like, "Whoa, okay, so she's been faking it the whole time. We know this, but yo, that reminded me so much of this man." Aizen, Sosuke Aizen. He said this to Renji Abarai. The Sosuke Aizen you remember never existed to begin with. Yo, it was all an illusion. It was all an illusion. So I don't know what's going to happen in the next episode, but hopefully Boruto is able to, save her. We'll see what happens with the Nue and everything, but a lot of things, very interesting stuff happen. I hope you guys enjoyed my discussion. Let me know what you guys think of what I stated, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I will see you in the next one.